We're lucky enough to be hosted and supported by Leeds Playhouse, as you can tell, here in the Brown Rock Void. And today marks the end of a whole week of activity for learning disabled participants. So we have been running engagement sessions, and Natalie Kirkos, who's the Learning Disability Manager here, has put on a whole host of things for people with learning disabilities that you'll hear about throughout the day. Our sensory theatre show is on over the road at Moda, so if you get an opportunity to see that today, please book a ticket or come and chat to us about getting into that show, because we'd love you to see it. Other things, the format of the day is going to be a series of panels, so you'll see our lovely first panel already up here. So there'll be questions posed to different people throughout the day, and there'll be interactive activities that are happening around, and there's sensory sessions with Natalie from the Playhouse if you want to experience what we're talking about as well as hear about it. So if you want to sign up to that, you can do that out front, or if you didn't sign up on the check-in desk, check in with us and book in, because it'll be a great way to experience it for the day. In terms of access for today, this is a really friendly and relaxed space. Please come and go as you wish to. There's a quiet space upstairs in the Brook Room on level 2 if you need it, but also out front there's seats, so feel free to go and take a chill there if you ever need to. There are our BSL interpreters join us for today, so hello to Sarah and to Max, thank you for being here with us. And we also have live stream of the symposium on Zoom today. So if you see cameras moving around, that is what is happening. Hello to our online viewers. I hope you can see and hear us okay. And please do online keep in touch with us. Put messages in the chat and let us know if the interpretation is not clear or if the captions aren't working. Please do get in touch. Our lovely Natasha is moderating the Zoom today, so thank you. Okay, without further ado, we should get into our very first panel. It is hosted today by one of our board members and brilliant artist, Natasha Holmes. So I'll let her introduce the panel and we'll hear from the lovely case study of my life with the wave. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsty. Okay, so I am Tash, board member and artistic director of Telltale Hearts, and I've been a board member for 7 years. I am tall, white northerner with frizzy ginger hair, and I'm going to be chairing this chat, which we're going to keep quite nice and informal, and I will just pass over to Anastasia to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Anastasia. My sign name I just realised I can't do with one hand, so I'm going to put the mic down. I'm a white woman. I'm tall with brown short hair that's slightly curled. I'm wearing a stripy vest with a red jumper underneath and blue denim jeans. I am a performer in My Life with the Wave. I'm a freelance dancer based in Leeds. I'm also a freelance access support worker.
I'm Steve. I'm a bald, bespeckled white man wearing jeans and a jumper and a jacket as well. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Katie. I am a white woman who is short and also has frizzy ginger hair. I am a teaching assistant at the SILC John Jamieson School, and I'm here to support my wonderful student Shannon today.
Hi, my name is Shannon Rose Kennedy, and I'm 16 years old, and I like to support my friend Katie because I'm a student in 16 plus 2, and my favourite food is spaghetti and meatballs. I'm wearing skirt, I'm wearing red trousers, and I love brown hair, and it's curled, and it's a little bit short for me.
That is brilliant, Shannon. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Shannon has actually seen My Life with the Wave, so we'll be hearing from... This is a panel discussion really about some of the audience responses from My Life with the Wave, but also to hear about its creation. I actually saw the show 2 years ago in a slightly different incarnation, as I've now learned that it has changed quite a bit since I saw it. But just to put you a little in the picture, it happens in a dome. It has full circular video projection, And it originates from a poem, and the performers are 3 dancers. There is absolutely sublime music throughout. And just to share a bit of my experience, I'll be very short because we want to hear from these people. I saw it shortly after COVID. It was a real mixture of audience, of family, neurodiverse, old, young, all audience really. And it was extremely emotionally powerful. I often think that, when you feel like a wave is coming, you can be submerged, you can be floated, you can float with joy, and it's kind of, it puts you in that position where you feel an awful lot. It takes you on an emotional journey. And I haven't really been in a show that has done that quite as powerfully as that one had for me. And perhaps that's partly because of the time that I saw it. But it created such a community response with everybody in that dome that it felt really powerful. So I'm just going to ask Steve, really, for this one. Why did you choose the poem, My Life with the Wave?
I first came across the kid's story, which is a book in America. And it's quite a figurative story of a kid who a wave attaches themselves to them, and they take the wave home, and the wave takes over the whole house. And the wave starts out being, really beautiful, and they have fun together, they play together, they stay up late together, and the moon and the stars are brought into that. And then the wave becomes trapped and can't stay in the house and becomes darker. And I kind of love the shift of that story. I read the poem latterly, and the poem is quite outdated, but there are some amazing writing in the poem and images and descriptions of the wave. And the poem, which was written in 1956, I believe, by Octavio Paz, is very much a love story. And it's a metaphor of love going wrong. The kid's story is much more about the physical wave being brought into the house. And that suggests a metaphor too. So I was drawn to the fact that that story could be interpreted in lots of different ways. And it took me a good 15 years to really come round to that story again, to be honest. And then it was, I just thought it could make an amazing dance piece. And last year we built it around a clown. One of the actors was a clown, one was an actor, and one was a dancer. And we kind of interpreted it with those 3. This year, none of those were able to be part of that story, so I kind of looked at it fresh. And I used to be artistic director of Interplay, but I was freelance now and asked back to do it. So I had the freedom to be able to play without all the other stuff that running a company sort of has and brings. So we interviewed and auditioned lots of dancers, and tend to do that over a day, so I get to know people and start to work on the piece already. And there was a kind of symmetry with the 3 people that are doing it that was just beguiling, and really it's one of the easiest shows I've ever done. And I think the way we shifted the story this year, and it doesn't give too much away, is that we make the audience the child, and my dancers are the wave. And they interact, and you go through the same journey that the kid does. And I think that thing about emotion is really important, because I think being able to tell stories that are difficult, being able to deal with difficult subjects and all of that is something that I think is really important, and it's something that we've tried to do and still try to do at Interplay, I believe. So it's kind of that thing of like making wonderful experiences that you feel really safe in. That's why we use the dome, the journey to the story, and it's almost a portal that we've used. We tend not to go to school and not take an environment with us. So that's kind of why I did it. I just thought the story had all those potential elements in it.
And why do you think it matters that you're in a shared environment experiencing those emotions?
I think there are lots of things, and I'm sure you'll get into it over the day. I mean, depending on the different conditions or labels that are put on young people. There's a feeling that you can't get that sense of community sometimes because young people are in their own worlds and individual, and they're not going to be able to do that. And I think we do that kind of work in workshops and all of that, but with the shows, it is trying to get that shared experience. I believe that being in proximity to people feeling things, okay, they're acting things or they're inhabiting worlds, there is some kind of sensory experience around that. I believe that, and it's about the proximity, and it's that touch and that interest between performer, interaction between performer and audience that really fascinates me. And I think hopefully you'll see that in the show today and realise what we're trying to do is trying to really place actors who are able to unlock and to work with young people without being, we're not in charge of that experience. You make up the story with this one. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's what's really interesting to me.
Great, thanks. And you've brought brilliantly onto the story. So Anastasia, if I could just ask you, please, why do you think this story speaks to an audience?
I think the story, like Steve has outlined, takes you through so many different emotions and scenarios that really anyone can relate to, and it's a story of friendship but also isolation and loneliness, frustration, joy, and hopefully this comes across when we perform it, but we're so close to the audience and involving them throughout the piece, and it's really the idea of being in such close proximity that we have had since the beginning, creating this piece. Everything is with the audience in mind and how they would feel or respond to or interact with each scene that we do. So hopefully it's quite a relational piece, and because of the emotional journey that you're taken on, there's a lot of room for empathy for people to interpret the story that they take from it, that they feel is necessary, that they have maybe experienced in their personal life, and they can add that onto the story, and it really welcomes like a vulnerableness to each audience member to ride that wave, and in the whole be in a safe environment to experience those vulnerable emotions.
Great. Well, this takes me to you, Shannon. Now that we've heard what some of the intention is, how was it for you? What story did you take from the show?
It was great, and I was shocked. It was okay. It made me feel happy about it. The oceans were amazing, and I really wish I could see it again myself. And my best friend Kate, she was amazing. Go on, Kate.
Shannon, was this the first time that you'd seen a dance performance like that?
Yeah. It was okay. It was my first time seeing a performance so badly. I enjoyed it a lot.
And was there a particular bit that was a favourite bit that you had?
Yeah. My favourite part was someone was dancing.
The dance. Yeah, wonderful. It's wonderful to hear how it also made you feel. So, what is it about this show, do you think, that makes it a sensory experience? And I'll ask that one to you, Steve.
Great, thanks. I think for me, the the show's always, there's a kind of research cycle where we take artists and stuff into school, and we work in residency in special schools with young people and teachers, and look at the story and look at where the trigger points might be, where the connection might be, and what interests each young person. And that research cycle means that we kind of understand and look at how we can communicate that. So that can be, this piece is non-verbal, but we've done pieces that have kind of got, that are with writers as well, and writers that go through that process as well. So for me, the sensory things for me are that you enter a space, you enter our world. How you enter that world is really interesting too. You're invited, the invite to the audience. Each person makes their own journey to the space. There's only 20 or so people at a time that can be in the space. We reduce that down sometimes too. And then we try and make theatre across the 5 senses. I think, and there are lots of people, other companies doing that and doing it, brilliantly. I think what the journey that I personally been on is, how do you tell story across the 5 senses? How does that work? And I think whatever show you might create in the rehearsal room has to adapt to the young people that are part of that. So, there's touch. We tried taste at certain points. We did a piece about Woody Guthrie, and it was like you were entering a kind of transit camp and you were given soup and bread like you were one of the migrants that was in that story, and you became part of it. So that whole thing about how you enter our world is something that's really important for us. And so for this show, you're coming into a beach. There's a projection of the beach, which hopefully you'll see. If you see the show during the day, you won't see the full projection because there's no blackout where we are. So you'll have to kind of squint your eyes a bit to see that today. But it is built around the dancers. And for me, the sensory thing is their performance and the way they work with you. That human touch. I do believe in that shared experience that happens. And I think that culturally, some of those young people aren't taken to theatre. And I think one of the best things that for me was the headmaster at your school saying that it's imperative that young people in those settings receive culture, see things like opera. We've taken opera to school, we've taken, dance, we've taken lots of different things. And I'm not saying we're great at it, we're learning all the time, and each story changes, so you have to reinvent what that sensory connection is with it.
Can I just ask that to Anastasia, because I know that you're going to have to go to actually get ready for the show. So just to ask you, what is it about the show that makes it sensory for you? And then I'm coming to you, Katie, and we'll hear from you.
I think Steve has kind of hit the nail on the head with the emotional story that you and the relationship that you create between performer and audience, but practically we hopefully activate like the sonic experience. There's so many different textures and layers in that, the visual experience, the touch. Without giving too much away, I don't want to say what we use or do, but we invite the audience to sort of play with us in different moments throughout it, and smell as well. So as soon as you enter this space, it is not just, oh, I've gone into this room and I'm going to see a performance now. You really get enveloped and taken wholly into this world that we have created and set up. And you're welcomed into the space by us performers, and there's an opportunity for us to interact with you beforehand, get everyone comfortable. It's very casual, but just setting up that first initial meeting, I think, creates such a relaxed atmosphere for the whole piece that audiences can speak throughout it. They can interact with us, they can say no to that, they can leave, it's really, it's up to the audience how much they want to take from us and how much they want to experience, what they feel comfortable with experiencing, and that together the whole audience feels connected to each other, like we're all sharing this very hopefully unique and special experience together.
Great, thank you. I'll let you go, Anastasia. Lovely, thank you very much. So, Katie, coming from John Jamieson School, why do you think sensory theatre in your school is important?
Well, I think it's like Steve said, it's hugely important, sense of inclusivity. A lot of our students don't get the opportunity to go to theatres and things due to many different reasons, accessibility, not being able to cope in the environment, affordability for families can struggle to go to places. So to come to us and be in our students' own environment with people that they know, and just the pure joy that they get from the experience, it's just wonderful for them to see.
And Shannon, what's it like for you at the school being able to experience a show, but with your friends?
Well, my friend Ryan, he made me laugh.
How did he make you laugh? In the show?
Well, he did a funny face and it was so dull. I'm probably going to say school because it was, when I was very little, I was so nervous to go to a new school.
So new places might make you feel nervous, but Interplay coming to us.
I'm starting to be brave and I had to go to that school.
When you watched it on Friday at school.
So what I'm hearing here from what Katie's asking is basically whether Shannon felt more comfortable by seeing it in school in a safe place than going and being amongst strangers seeing it.
And I learned something, but I was so shocked. Then I moved to high school. Well, I watched it. It was absolutely shocking. I was shocked.
I love this. You've mentioned shocked a few times. Was that the overall experience at the end of the show for you, Shannon? What was the lasting experience that you felt when the show finished?
I forgot.
How did you feel when it finished?
You do it for me.
So how did you feel when the show finished? And when you'd watched it and you came out of the tent and you'd watched the whole show, how did it make you feel?
Excited, I guess.
Great, thank you. So I've really got shocked, excited, happy, it was okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shannon, that is
Thank
fantastic.
you so much to you.
And thank you. And and Steve, just for you, how does it make you feel?
The show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just beguiled by the reactions to it. I think, just if I can be slightly indulgent for a second, when I first came to Interplay, I was a theatre director who thought he knew it all.
Just speaking to the
I was a theatre director who thought he knew it all, and then I was there for 20 years because all the time we were finding out how I could connect with these young people, and I kind of really. It was a challenge to me, and it was something that I really loved. And being able to reach across those senses and those supposed barriers was something that I wanted, and I'm going to say it, I wanted the art that we're trying to create to get through that. So it wasn't just about the connection, it was about trying to create something that would make you feel things. And why shouldn't people with learning disability appreciate opera or classical music, or those things? Why shouldn't they be part of their experience, it seems to me? And I think, music has always been central to that as well, how you that kind of mirrors what's going on. And we use a lot of intensive interaction as well as part of the work. And it's that aligned to story, I think, is what we're about. Or certainly the journey that I've been on as an artist has been, how do I communicate this to people that may be locked in on themselves or the feeling that there isn't a community here, that you can't get a community from young people with disparate conditions or whatever. I hate all the labels as well, but that's another thing.
Great. I think at this point, does anybody have any questions from the audience for any of our panellists? We'll just let that sit for a moment. And I'm struggling to see. Has anyone got their hand up? Because it's. Or happy to pipe up? Oh yes, thank you. Great.
Yeah, I've just got a
Ginny.
question for everybody really. Do you think that there is a sense of community when watching the show?
So Ginny's question is, do you think there is a sense of community when you're watching the show? So I'm going to ask that first to Steve. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I think that for me, it's taken a while, but that dance is so amazing at being able to connect and to be able to bring in, you know, the functional of things like intensive interaction, mirroring what's going on, and being able to take that out into the story. I think the design is really important as part of that, and that helps. The fact you're in a circle. If I sound like an old hippie, I'm really sorry, but you're in a circle there, and the proximity and the way the show can stop to bring people in, and the way we can accommodate is part of the notion. It's really hard for performers. It's, you know, like I said to this group, it's one of the hardest things they'll ever do. Is kind of like be in the moment, emote, dance, move, and stop and bring someone in if they need to, and to use them in. So, but I think it does do that. I think music helps. I think design helps. I think the costume helps. All those things together create a layered experience, I think.
Shannon, do you think seeing the show brought you closer with your classmates?
Yeah, that was, yeah, it was.
And also, Shannon, it wasn't just your class. We have a huge school, don't we?
Yeah, we had a
Everyone has different
yeah.
abilities and disabilities, and you could all come together and you could all access the show together, couldn't you? It's not just a certain
Yeah.
students could go. Everyone could go from our school and watch the Interplay show, couldn't they?
Yeah, we watched the Interplay show with Jordan.
With all different students,
Brilliant.
everyone.
Yeah.
Katie, could you just say that into the microphone? That would be so cute.
Sorry, I was just saying that at our school we have a huge range of different abilities and disabilities, but we can all come together, the whole school. It's not just accessible to certain students. The whole of our school community can come together and watch Interplay, can't they, Shannon?
Yeah, they do.
All your friends can join you, and that's wonderful for us, isn't it?
Yeah. And just to end on that, actually, because when I was writing down all things I remember about the show from 2 years ago, community was that big thing. It felt like we were a community in there, even though I was amongst strangers. I knew one other person that happened to be an audience in there. But because of the way the show works, and perhaps because it's less narrative, it did create a real bonding experience for the people that shared it together, and that felt really powerful, which is why I used the word community as a descriptor for it. So I think that is the time that we've been allocated. I do urge you to see My Life with the Wave if you, well, it's here today, please see it. It is wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And can I thank all our wonderful panellists? Thank you for Shannon. Thank you to Katie, who had to step in very last minute, like very last minute. And thanks so much to Steve. Yeah, well done, Steve.
Thank you so much to you as well, Natasha. Thank you. Great. Do you want to go? You can find a seat in our audience now if you want. Lovely panel. Thank you very much. And a big thank you as well to our lovely panel members from John Jamieson, because the theatre is a whole new world. So thank you for being here. Great. I thought it might be worth mentioning as well. Thanks, Tash. That the audience that are here today is a whole mix of people. There are people here that are pioneers of sensory theatre and have been making this work for years and years, and there's people that might just be hearing about sensory theatre for the first time today. So there are absolutely no stupid questions at any point today. Please ask them. Like, it's a room full of supportive people that want to answer those questions for you. And I thought it might be worth just explaining the definition of sensory theatre. It changes and evolves with the artists that make it, but in general, and this is maybe a personal opinion, but I think it's widely shared, that sensory theatre uses more than just the traditional senses that you would see at traditional theatre, which is watching and listening, and it encompasses touching, smelling, tasting things. It can be immersive, it can be interactive, it can be experiential, it can be lots and lots of things, and that's at the heart of it. It's about people accessing the theatre that wouldn't be able to access it in a traditional way, and we'll be talking more about that throughout the day. There was lovely mentions about intensive interaction, which is a communication style, and we have a panel on that at 12 noon if you are interested in hearing a bit more about what that is. We, as I said, are part of the festival for people with learning disabilities that's here at Leeds Playhouse, and we really wanted to share with you some of the voices and the people that have been attending throughout this week that couldn't be here today, just to remind us why the arts is important to us and why it's important to people from learning disabilities to be able to access art too. So we're going to play you a short clip just of some feedback from people throughout this week, and then the lovely Natalie Kirkos from Leeds Playhouse is going to join us and talk about how the week has been just before we go for a break. So Ben, if you're happy to play the track, that'd be great. Thank you.